Okay, so Atul, let's proceed ahead with your mock interview for Bhabha Atomic Research Center. Me,
Yes, sir.
Suklani sir, and Vishal sir are on the panel, and we are proceeding ahead with your mock. So, first, we want to know about your subjects in which you are good at. You want to go forward?
Sir, strength of material, heat transfer, basic thermodynamics, and fluid mechanics.
Done. So, Suklani sir will start with the strength of material first. Over to you, Suklani sir.
Okay, Atul. So let me just ask a few questions from strength of material, which is a favorite subject, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what do you understand by strength in strength of material?
Sir, it is the maximum stress that a material can withstand without failure.
Maximum stress.
Yes, sir.
So if I don't agree with you, that I will say that this is the maximum value of load. Then?
Sir, the stress is dependent on the load applied. So, a load will create a resisting force inside the material, and the resisting force per unit area is the stress. So, a load is not the same as stress, sir.
The load, so that means
maximum load and maximum stress are different.
They may be different in terms of value, but am I right or you are right? Or both are right or both are wrong?
Like sir, you are asking like whether the maximum stress will be corresponding to the maximum load.
No. My question is, I am saying that strength is the maximum load that material can sustain.
Okay, no, sir.
And I'm saying that I don't agree. And I'm saying that I don't agree with your statement that this is the maximum stress that the material can withstand.
No, sir. It is the maximum stress that it can withstand, not the load.
So I'm. It means I'm wrong, right?
Yes, sir.
So why you are saying that way that I'm wrong? Now you have to prove me wrong. So why I'm wrong?
So we say strength as the yield stress for ductile material and ultimate tensile strength for brittle material. So, stresses.
Okay. Yeah. No, that is okay. But from where you got that diagram? Can you get the stress strain diagram directly, or have you drawn it from some basic information?
Sir, from experimental tensile universal testing machine, we will apply tensile force, and we will plot the graph of stress vs strain.
So can the machine measure the stress and strain?
It can measure the strain, and with the applied load by unit area, we can calculate the stress also.
No. My question is, can the machine measure stress and can it measure strain? And then it has plotted the diagram?
Yes, sir.
So how can you let me know how it can measure the stress?
Sir, load applied per unit area.
No, give me the instrument which will measure it.
Like area, we can measure with vernier caliper.
No, I am not talking about it. So it means, do you think that there is a vernier caliper already over there in the UTM which will measure that area?
No, that we need to measure separately.
So, but do you think that you measure it with the vernier and then feed it into the system?
No, sir. It will be standard dimension.
Which standard?
Standard specimen we will use to test it, sir.
Which standard? How do you know that what is standard? What standard do we use?
Sir, I don't exactly remember the value of the diameter, but I know that is standard value we use to test it.
Okay, so what is the yield strength of mild steel? Normally that you studied.
Sir, 200 megapascal.
200 megapascal.
250 megapascal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So why in most of the cases you apply the factor of safety on yield stress in case of ductile materials? Why not on ultimate?
Sir, because we consider after elastic limit, there will be plastic deformation. We consider that as a failure in ductile materials. So we will take the yield stress as the allowable stress, maximum allowable stress. But there are some assumptions also we are making, sir. Like the material will be continuous, there will be no crack, and the material is homogeneous and isotropic. So due to these assumptions also, to get a safe side, to be on the safe side, we are using factor of safety.
So as per you, material may not be homogeneous isotropic actually. So, so you want to be on safer side.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So how homogeneous material is different from isotropic?
Sir, homogeneous means the properties are same in all positions.
Homogeneous means, sorry, can you repeat one more time?
Sir, it is independent of position. The properties are independent of positions. Means it is same in all the positions in the material. Homogeneous.
It is same in all the position.
And isotropic means at a point and on different direction, the properties will be same.
And why we normally make this assumption that okay, the material should be isotropic and homogeneous? Why can't we? I may have assumed that okay, go ahead with the isotropic material, or I may have assumed that okay, go ahead with the, let's assume this material as homogeneous only. You make the assumption okay, the material is homogeneous as well as isotropic, right?
Yes, sir. Most
why
of
you do that way?
The engineering materials are like assumed to be homogeneous and isotropic. There to make
most
the
of the engineering materials are
assumed to be homogeneous and isotropic.
Why we assume? You are saying that you are taking the factor of safety, right? One way you are saying that because there may be situations where material may not be homogeneous, may not be isotropic.
Yes,
but when we assume it initially, okay, it should be both homogeneous as well as isotropic. I'm saying no, I will not say I will go ahead with the homogeneous material and will not, even if it is anisotropic, it's okay.
Yes.
But why we are assuming both them as?
To reduce the complexity of calculation.
So which complexity? What happens if that be the case?
So, sir, if Young's modulus is in different direction, the strain will also be different. Like the corresponding to the load, the strain will also be different. So it will increase the complexity.
Okay. Let us say okay. So let us say I have one material, not a material. I have taken one bar.
Okay.
Right. I deformed it into the plastic zone, somewhere in the plastic zone. Now, after deforming, I have given it to you. Now, tell me what has happened to its strength, what has happened to its ductility, hardness, etc.
Sir, there will be some percentage of elastic deformation also, and there will be some percentage of plastic deformation also. So, if we leave the load, then it will it will travel. The elongation, the part of elastic deformation will come back, and only the plastic deformation will remain. So the strength will increase. I think strength.
Which strength?
Yield strength will increase.
Yield or ultimate?
Yield strength will increase.
Why it has increased?
Sir, because already some of the there will be interlocking when we move it to the means it will be harder to slide between layers. After some ductile deformation, it will be again harder to slide between layers, sir. So there will be some
Why it is happening that way?
Due to deformation, there will be some barriers. Due to that,
well, that's what I'm saying. What barriers? What happened? Exactly what happened that you are saying that yield strength got increased when I plastically deformed it?
Sir, I'm not clear about that.
Mm-hmm. So what about the ductility?
Sir, ductility remains the same. So it corresponds to the length in the stress strain graph, so it will remain the same.
Just think of the situation that I have given you. I am saying that this was the original bar which I have already deformed in the plastic region, and now I have given it to you.
Okay.
Now I'm talking about the deformed metal piece which I have handed it over to you.
Okay.
That what has happened to its ductility and strength compared to the original that I was having. You're comparing with the original which was not deformed.
Okay. So, sir, it already has some deformation. So, the ductility will be decreased.
Why?
The rest of the part is only remaining, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of the deformation has already happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, the remaining strain energy that it can take will be.
Okay. Let us say I want to improve its ductility.
Yes, sir.
I want to improve its ductility.
Yeah.
What should I do?
Sir, reduce the internal residual stresses by annealing or pinching.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have two questions over here. Why there is a need to increase its ductility? First question is this, and how I will increase this ductility? And if ductility I'm able to increase by any process, yes, then what actually happened that it restored its ductility?
Sir, ductility means the ability of the material to draw into thin wire.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want to make any material to be in the shape of thin wire, then that's increase the ductility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now to increase the ductility, I think, sir, annealing or quenching can
quenching.
Annealing.
Quenching. So what is the difference between annealing and quenching?
Sir, quenching, we will heat. Sir, I didn't study that part.
Mm-hmm. Okay, forget about quenching, but talk about what is the annealing? Why you did annealing and what happened in annealing?
Sir, we heat it up to a certain temperature and we cool it down. The rate of cooling, according to the rate of cooling, the grain size will be different. So if we cool slowly, then I think the grain size will be smaller. And if we cool fast, the grain size will be no. If we cool fast, the grain size will be smaller, and if we cool slowly, the grain size will be larger. So if the grain size is smaller, then the boundaries are greater, and there will be like a less chance for slip. Means smaller grain size means more less ductility.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, sir. That's so we.
But you are saying that it will increase the ductility.
So if we will cool it slowly, sir. So we will cool it slowly and increase the grain size.
See, when you deformed it, it was having larger size.
When we deformed it, yes, larger size.
It was having larger grain size, right?
Okay, okay.
When you annealed it,
Okay.
So you are saying that after cooling, you will be having smaller grains.
No, we will cool it slowly, sir, so that we get larger grains, sir.
Okay. So, okay, you got the larger grains then. How it improved the ductility then?
Sir, larger grain size means less boundaries, and that means more slip, means more ductility we can achieve.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, what do you know about principal stress?
Sir, principal stress is the stress that is acting in the principal plane, and it is the maximum stress in the material.
And what is the principal plane?
Sir, principal plane is the plane at which shear stress is 0, and there is maximum normal stress.
Mm-hmm. Okay, can you tell me, let us say if I am twisting this particular material this way,
Yes.
What is the location of the principal plane?
So, it will be, sir, 45 degrees, sir.
Why?
40 degree to the perpendicular plane, like vertical plane.
How you came to know that? How you came to know that?
Sir, by drawing Mohr circle.
Draw the Mohr circle.
Sir, if I take an element, then there will be shear stress, because torsion means a pure shear stress is applied on the element in the vertical and horizontal plane. Okay, so if I draw the Mohr circle in the plane, then the center of the circle will be at the center of the axis, and there will be shear stress. Diameter will be equal to the radius will be equal to the shear stress. So the point in the principal plane that the circle intersect will be also the same shear stress, which is 90 degree in the Mohr chart. So it will be corresponding to 45 degree in the material.
Okay, so let's say if this bar is made up of ductile material.
Yes, sir.
How it is going to fail?
Sir, a ductile material fail due to shear first. Means its tensile and compressive strength are greater than shear. So it will fail through shear. So the plane will be vertical itself, vertical plane.
Okay, let us say if this is not a ductile.
Okay.
This is brittle.
Okay.
Let's say it's kind of let's say glass rod.
Okay, sir.
So then how?
So, sir, brittle material has weak tensile strength and better compressive and shear strength. So it will fail due to tension. So maximum tensile stress is in principal plane, so which is 45 degree to the vertical plane. So it will fail in that angle, 45 degree to the vertical plane.
So let us say the same glass rod. Yes. If I will apply a compressive load instead of torsional load.
Okay.
So it is going to fail.
Sir, if you are applying compressive load, then there won't be any tensile force at any of the plane. in the glass. So the brittle material will fail due to shear. So which is at an angle 45 degree to the vertical plane.
Okay. So Atul, I will be giving you the feedback at the end, right?
Okay.
So now over to Vishal sir. Vishal sir will continue now.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you. So, Atul, what are your favorite subject? What you prepared for BRC?
Sir, strength of material, heat transfer, basic thermodynamics, and fluid mechanics.
Okay. Let me start with heat transfer. Atul.
Yes, sir.
Atul, what is radiation heat transfer? How it occurs?
Sir, there is no requirement of medium for this radiation heat transfer. It occurs due to electromagnetic waves.
On what factor radiation heat transfer depends? Like suppose there is a body, like suppose if I will consider this is some body. Okay. And this is actually a hot body and you want to improve the heat transfer from this body to the outside. Okay. And there is radiation heat exchange. We are assuming it is at a very high temperature. So what you will do to improve or to enhance that heat transfer? Radiation heat transfer, especially.
Okay. So I don't know, sir.
Can you draw the thermal network? Like suppose this is a body. This is actually some kind of metal piece at a very high temperature, suppose 700 degrees Celsius. So एक metal piece है, बहुत high temperature पे है, 700 degrees Celsius पे. 727, it is good to consider 727. 727 डिग्री सेल्सियस पे है, ठीक है. मान लीजिए रूम टेम्परेचर इज 27 डिग्री सेल्सियस.
Okay.
So can you draw the thermal network between this and the atmosphere?
Sir, there will be this one which is at 727 degrees Celsius, and there will be an resistance of 1 by epsilon into A. Minus epsilon by epsilon into A.
ठीक है.
Okay, then there will be 1 by F into A, which is sir. Okay. So, sir, for the real body, we are assuming it to be a black body, and we are writing in the equation. So, for a real body, there will be some resistance, which we are considering 1 by epsilon.
I just asked you about the radiation network. There are two bodies exchanging heat. One is the room inside this air.
Okay.
That I'm considering as a body one. The second is this hot metal piece. This is second body, and there is a radiation heat exchange between these two bodies only. Can you draw the radiation network, Atul?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Sir. So I think this is the one. Is it clear, sir?
So three resistance you are showing.
Yes.
Yes. Atul?
Yes, sir.
So how you will write the net heat transfer between these two bodies?
Sir, it will be Q will be equal to T 1 raised to 4 minus T2 raised to 4 sigma into T1 raised to 4 minus T2 raised to 4 divided by 1 minus epsilon by epsilon 1. So I will show you 1 minute, sir.
Okay. So Atul, from this equation, you are getting any idea like how you can improve this heat transfer?
Sir, temperature is constant.
What you can change?
Sir, both the temperature are constant and sigma is also constant. Area, maybe, yes, sir. Maybe we can increase the area. No, if you increase the area, yes, sir. We can increase the area to increase the radiation transfer.
But area तो नहीं change कर सकते because this is already because we have considered some kind of body which is of fixed area only.
Okay. Then, sir, there is emissivity, sir. Emissivity which needs to be increased, but I don't know whether we can increase the emissivity of the material.
बढ़ा सकते हैं emissivity को, change कर सकते हैं?
Sir, I don't know, sir. I think we can't increase.
We cannot change.
Yes, sir, that's what I think. It is a material property, I think, sir.
Okay. Atul, you heard about diffuse surface?
Diffuse objects, yes, sir.
Diffuse surface.
Diffuse
surface. Diffuse
surface.
emitter.
Yes,
You heard about diffuse emitter?
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by diffuse emitter?
The intensity of radiation will be same in all the directions. It will emit equally in all the directions. That's why it is called diffuse surface.
Example दे सकते हो मेरे को any diffuse surface like which you feel which is actually approaches a diffuse surface?
Black body. Yes.
Black body.
Yes, sir. It's a diffuse surface.
Black body is a diffuse emitter or diffuse absorber?
Diffuse emitter.
Emitter.
Yes, sir. So
what is the difference? What is the difference between diffuse emitter and absorber?
Diffuse emitter means, sir, it will emit equally in all the directions. But absorber means, sir, it can if the radiation comes in different angle, it can take all the like lambda values, long wavelength or short wavelength.
Atul, you heard about gray surface, gray body?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
One that can absorb all the wavelengths.
All the wavelengths?
Yes, sir.
So what is the difference between gray body and black body? Black body is also absorbing all the radiations.
Yes,
gray
sir.
body is also absorbing all the radiations. So means both are same. Have you seen somewhere this gray body?
Black.
देखे आपने gray body देखी कहीं पे?
Gray body.
अच्छा, can you give me one example of each, like the black body, white body, diffuse surface and gray body? क्या एक example दे सकते हो आप मेरे को? अतल. What do you feel? These are some kind of real bodies or hypothetical bodies?
Sir, I think these are assumptions that we make.
Assumption. तो relate कर सकते हो इनको? Black body या white body का कोई example दे सकते हो आप? Any body which actually approaches a black body.
Like, sir, whatever we are considering, like long wavelength and visible radiation. So, if most of them are absorbed, they can absorb most of these radiations. Like the absorptivity is almost same. Whatever is coming in, it is absorbing. Then we can consider it as a black body.
Suppose you are having a glass full of water. कांच का गिलास है आपके पास, ग्लास ही है ना, ग्लास जो हम बोलते हैं नॉर्मल कन्वेंशनल ग्लास. So in that, okay, suppose it is good to consider steel glass. Okay, so we are having a steel glass in which you are having water at a temperature of 4 degrees Celsius.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you kept that glass full of water inside a room.
Yes, sir.
So can you tell me how the heat transfer is going to take place? Like from the how heat transfer will take place between that water, cold water, and the atmosphere. The atmosphere you can consider at 27 degrees Celsius.
Sir, it can happen through conduction through the steel, and then through convection to the air.
Convection.
Yes, sir.
Then
Which
one? Which convection?
Like if there is no fan, then free convection.
Free convection.
Yes, sir.
Other than free convection?
then radiation can also occur.
Radiation will also be there.
Yes.
What about condensation?
Condensation. Okay.
It will be there or not?
Yes. Yes, sir. Some of the vapors in the air can cool down and settle outside the glass, and with that temperature, the temperature of this water at sir, what was the temperature of the glass?
4 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, 4 degrees Celsius can go into 7 degrees Celsius. Like the latent heat of that vapors will be given to the water inside the glass.
अच्छा, किस तरह का कंडेंसेशन देखने को मिलेगा आपको? Like if I will ask you film condensation or drop wise condensation, what is the difference between film and drop wise condensation? Atul?
Sir, I don't know, sir. Film condensation.
You heard about film condensation, drop wise condensation? सुना आपने वैसे heat transfer में?
No, sir.
अच्छा, ग्लास के ऊपर आपको क्या दिखेगा? मतलब ड्रॉपलेट्स दिखेंगी और यू विल गेट ए फिल्म ऑफ
We get droplets, sir.
ड्रॉपलेट दिखेंगी.
Yeah.
Okay. Atul, you heard about Grashof number?
Yes, sir. Grashof number. Sir, it is like analogous to Nusselt number. So it is used in free convection. So it is G beta delta T LC cube by.
How you can say that it is analogous to Nusselt number?
Yes, sir.
How you can say that?
Sir,
what is the significance of Nusselt number and what is the significance of Grashof number?
The Nusselt number we use it to calculate the heat transfer coefficient.
That is not the significance, Atul. यूज क्या है? ठीक है, आप उसको निकालते हो. यस, वी यूज इट टू फाइंड आउट एच वैल्यू, बट सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है उसका? व्हाट Nusselt number actually represents?
The heat transfer due to convection divided by the heat transfer due to convection. So
can it be less than 1, Atul? Achha, when you will have Nusselt number less than 1 and Prandtl number less than 1.
Okay. Okay, Prandtl number.
Prandtl number less than 1 कब मिलेगा आपको और Nusselt number less than 1 कब मिलेगा?
Sir, Prandtl number can be seen as like the hydrodynamic length to the thermal length. So if Prandtl number is less than 1, it means that the boundary layer of velocity will be smaller and the thickness of thermal boundary layer will be larger. So in that case, we will get Prandtl number less than 1. And Nusselt number less than 1, sir.
Okay. Atul, ये जो हमने ग्लास कंसीडर किया था, कैन यू राइट द एनर्जी बैलेंस फॉर दिस?
For like for just, that
yes.
heat. Okay. So sir, mCp dt by dt of the water inside the glass will be equal to h into area into T minus T infinity plus the thermal radiation, which is sigma into A T minus T raised to 4 minus T infinity raised to 4. So yes, sir. Plus
my last question is to you. Yes, in free convection, on what factor this H value depends?
In free convection.
Can you change this H value or it's a constant? Like for some kind of room which you are having, This HL is constant, or it depends on some of the properties, or you can change?
Sir, the flow occurs due to the change in density.
Natural convection, free convection. I asked you about free convection. In free convection, can we change H value? On what factor it depends?
Yes, sir. The density of the fluid and the surrounding. So due to change density only it starts flow. So if we can create more density change, like if the temperature difference itself is high and density change will be high, the flow will be more.
Okay, Atul, at the end I will provide you the feedback. Over to Vijender, sir.
Okay, so Atul, let's proceed ahead with your fluid mechanics.
Yes, sir.
Okay, done. You know what is manometer?
Yes, sir.
Barometer?
Yes, sir.
Piezometer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell me the difference between three.
Sir, barometer is used to measure the atmospheric pressure.
Okay.
Barometer. And manometer is used to calculate the difference between pressure at 2 points.
Suppose I want to measure at some place whether atmospheric pressure, how much is the atmospheric pressure? How shall you use the barometer? Can you make the diagram?
Yes, sir. Sir, this will be the diagram, sir.
Okay, so how much is the height of this?
Sir, if this will be H, so here there will be vapor pressure of mercury, which is very less, so we will neglect it. So here there will be PATM acting, and PATM atmosphere, we can write it as rho GH.
Okay, how much is this H?
Sir, He will be equal to 1.01325.
I think you know the value, right? What atmospheric pressure is equal to what meter of mercury?
Sir, a meter of mercury, I don't know, sir. For water, it is 10.33.
You don't know? Have you never heard 760 millimeter?
Yes, sir.
760 mm of mercury, have you never heard?
Yes, sir, I heard it.
There is a unit of pressure measurement which is called a torr.
Yes, sir.
How much is 1 torr?
Sir, it is 1 mm of Hg. 1 mm of mercury.
Okay. So now tell me, what is piezometer?
Sir, piezometer is to measure the gauge. This is to measure the gauge pressure at a point.
And manometer?
Manometer is used to measure the pressure difference between 2 points.
Take a horizontal pipe.
Okay, sir.
And apply U-tube manometer at 2 points, separated by, let's say, 1 meter distance.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Will the pressure level be same?
So, sir, if there is pressure drop, if we are not considering ideal flow, then there will be pressure drop. Then due to that pressure drop, there will be a change in height in the manometer.
Okay, no, it's a real fluid. It is not ideal fluid, obviously.
Okay, then there will be a difference in height, sir. So it will
which side will be more, which side will be less?
Sir, more will be in the I'll show you, sir. Yes, sir.
So why you made direction is from 1 to 2, huh?
So the flow is in this direction, sir. So the pressure drop will occur in this direction, sir.
Now make it vertical pipe. Now make the pipe vertical.
Okay.
And apply the manometer.
Like we are keeping it like this.
I don't know. You tell me how you join the manometer for vertical pipes. How you connect.
Sorry, like this. Like this. I will draw 1 second. Yes, sir. Can you see?
Now,
Sir,
now make the pressure difference between 2 points. Show how much is the pressure difference.
Sir, which is the direction of flow, sir?
You have to find out that. The way you found that in horizontal, I want you to find the same for vertical also.
No, sir. The direction of flow in the pipe, should I take it downward or upward?
No, it is not given. Can you find it out? If you draw the mercury level,
okay,
on the basis of that, can you tell?
Like if I draw mercury level here first. So there will be, if flow is in upward direction, there will be pressure drop also, and there will be a head loss also. So the manometer measures only the pressure drop. So I think we can know the direction of flow.
Okay. Okay. Now suppose I tell you that fluid is flowing from A to B. Fluid is flowing from A to B.
Sir, which is what did you say?
From upper side is A.
Okay.
Top position is A.
Okay.
Now show me the mercury diagram. How the mercury level will be in the two limbs.
Sir, here the pressure will be higher and the head also will be higher. The pressure here will become less and the head also will become less. So more pressure means, sir, it will be something like this.
Which pressure will be more, at A or B?
Sir, at A.
Are you sure? Pressure at A will be more? Just
yes,
use Bernoulli equation. VA is equal to VB because uniform section pipe it is.
Okay. Okay, so the head will be, datum head will be converted to the pressure energy. Okay, so we can't say, sir. We might not be able to say, sir, which will be higher and which will be lower.
Why? Just write the Bernoulli equation.
Sir, but if there is a loss due to friction, then we can't write the Bernoulli equation for this.
Assume it to be ideal first.
Okay. Yes, sir. Then this will be the case.
Okay. Now VA VB gets cancelled out.
Yes, sir.
ZA is more than ZB.
Yeah, Z1 is more than Z2.
You tell me which pressure is more.
P2 is more, sir.
P2 is more. And what you have drawn?
Sir, I have drawn P1 as more. Sorry, sir.
Okay. So now if I assume it to be real fluid, then how your answer will change?
Sir, in real fluid, so if there will be a loss head here, HF. So Z1 is greater than Z2, but depending on the value of HF, like HF will be positive. So P2 will be lesser than P1. No,
Sure?
sir. We can't say, sir.
What if fluid is going from bottom to top?
Bottom to top. Then, sir. Then P1. Let us take here as 1. Then. Z2 is greater than Z1. Z2 is greater than Z1. So Z2 is greater than Z1. Then, sir, P2 will be lesser, sir. Like here it will be lower pressure, and here it will be higher pressure. So, sir, here it will be higher pressure.
Just don't consider fluid to be real and tell me whether flow is from A to B or B to A, which pressure will be more?
Okay. For ideal flow case, sir, if it is going from down to upward, so the datum head decreases. Velocity head is same, so it cancels out. So the pressure upward, sorry, the datum head increases, the pressure upward will decrease. Pressure, sir, in the upstream will decrease.
Okay, now let me ask you, Atul, one thing. If the fluid you are assuming to be ideal,
yes,
and does the analysis depend upon direction of flow?
Yes, sir. In vertical, the datum head will change according to the direction.
How?
Like in the upstream, like if you are saying it is going from bottom to top, then the datum head will increase from bottom to top.
Now you write the Bernoulli, you see the Bernoulli equation once again, and
yes,
tell
sir.
me if the fluid flow is ideal. How does it change your analysis? Whether you are going from bottom to top or top to bottom. Not changing point 1 and 2. Point 1 and 2 remain the same. One is top point, 2 is bottom point.
Okay. Then, sir, if it is flowing from 1 to 2, like means upside to downside, then the pressure will increase in the upstream direction. Okay. And if we are going from down to up, then means from 2 to 1, then the pressure will decrease. Means in the upstream direction, the pressure will decrease because datum head increases.
At the higher point, datum is always more. Whether you are going from this to this or this to this, Z is always more. What is the trouble? Z does not depend upon direction of flow, does it?
Sir, more the height fluid gains, the more the datum.
Okay, but head more is vertically upward. No, this is the pipe, and I'm giving you 1 point here. Then Z will be here more always, whether flow is from this side to this side.
Yes, sir.
Z will always be more at higher point, right?
Yes, sir.
So Z does not depend upon direction of flow of fluid. It depends how the point is, where the point is from the reference.
Yes, sir.
And if Z is more, then pressure will be less. So if this is the pipe and this is the top point, pressure will here be always be less.
Yes, sir. No, not like that, sir. Like if the flow is coming from down to up, then as the datum head increases, the pressure will decrease.
True.
Now, then if the flow is from upside to down, the datum head decreases. It will convert to the pressure.
The pressure will also increase.
Pressure will increase. Yeah.
So in either case, pressure is more at the lower point.
Yes, sir. But I am saying depending on the upstream direction, like in the direction of flow.
Direction of flow does not impact the pressure.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Like,
right?
Yeah, that is. Yes, sir. That is.
Now, if I make the fluid real,
okay.
How the analysis changes?
Now it depends on the direction.
What?
Sir, in the direction of flow.
Tell me the direction of flow of the fluid such that your earlier analysis remains same.
Like, okay, sir.
That pressure always remains more at the lower point.
Bottom. Okay. Sir, the flow will be upward.
Yes, flow will be upward. Okay. So let me give you the now feedback, Atul. See,
Yes,
I
sir.
found your concepts are okay with fluid mechanics, no problem.
Yes, sir.
But sometimes you're getting confused. Like
Yes,
in
sir.
this particular case, you got confused, right?
Yes, sir. Little bit.
Yeah, like atmospheric pressure in millimeter of mercury. You don't know that. This is a very, very basic question.
Yes, sir.
So if you ask me, sir, where the marks are cut if you don't answer the basic question correctly.
Okay.
How much is the atmospheric pressure in meter of water? Sir, 10.3 meter. How much is atmospheric pressure in meter of mercury? I don't know, sir. That's a very, very basic question, Thomas, right?
I knew it, sir, but I couldn't think of that.
You know what is Thomas number? Since it is your name?
Thomas number, no, sir.
Cavitation Thomas number? In the fluid mechanics, there is a Thomas number, cavitation flow. Cavitation, you know? Cavitation?
Yes, sir. Cavitation only, sir.
You know? Net positive suction head, you know?
That I don't know.
Net positive suction head. You don't know that?
No, hydraulic part I didn't see.
You're a mechanical engineer?
Yes, sir.
So how can you skip hydraulic part? And there's a Thomas number.
Yes, sir.
Because it is your name, they may ask you Thomas number. Since it is on your name, it is kept, right?
Yes, sir.
So you should know what is Thomas number in cavitation.
Okay.
And then, basic question like meter of mercury, 0.76 meter of mercury, 760 millimeter of mercury, 760 torr.
Yes, sir.
That should be very, very clearly, you should know that. And then, barometer, piezometer.
Yes.
So all these things you should know. And also I asked you about this, that is manometer, horizontal manometer. Horizontal manometer because, velocity both sides is okay, datum is also same. So pressure difference is because of viscous energy losses.
Yes,
The
sir.
difference in pressure is because of energy loss, head loss.
Yes, sir.
But when we talk about vertical pipe, vertical pipe may pressure difference can be because of datum difference.
Okay.
So when I gave you horizontal pipe, at 2 points, velocity is same because uniform flow cross section. Datum is same because pipe is horizontal.
Yes, sir.
So difference in pressure is only because of head loss.
Yes, sir.
When I make the pipe vertical and I give you 2 points, no pressure difference, velocity again is same because uniform cross section pipe.
Yes,
So
sir.
the pressure difference can be either because of head loss or it can be because of datum difference.
Yes.
And tell me which one is more significant phenomena, head loss or datum difference?
Datum difference.
Yes, datum difference. So if datum here is more, which obviously is vertically upward, datum here is more, so pressure here is going to be less only.
Oh, yes, sir.
So blindly you can say if we put manometer, so pressure here is less, pressure here is more because datum here is more, datum here is less.
Yes.
HF will not have much impact.
Okay, sir.
Head loss will not have much impact on this.
Yes, sir.
Got it? Head
Yes,
loss
sir.
will be basically not having much impact.
Yes.
Pressure difference will be having more impact on that. So that concept I was trying to ask you in fluid mechanics.
Okay.
So that you should think and then you should answer.
Okay.
What happens in BARC interview? Because in depth he will ask you and he will give you sufficient time to think.
Okay.
Right? Okay, over to Virender Saglani sir now.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Atul. So, see,
Yes, sir.
one thing that I noted was I think you're having a low energy level. I don't know why, because it reflects that you're not confident. Okay, that was my observation. You are very kind of monotonous way. You are just answering the questions. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So maybe you can try work upon that also. I have a question related to strength. Okay, what is strength? And so you defined in terms of stress. Then I said, okay, can I define in terms of load or not? Then I think you are not sure enough. You tried to relate it, but you could not relate it.
Yes.
So I said that, can we define it in terms of maximum load? You said no, right?
Yes. Yes,
Then
sir.
you tried to relate it to something stress strain diagram, but you could not relate it properly. See, strength, you can define it in terms of load also. Ultimately, you have to convert it into load. When you are having a component dimensions fixed, ultimately you will talk in terms of
Okay.
load only, right?
Yes, sir. Okay.
But see, for when we define it for a material, then we want to have a one particular value, okay?
Okay.
That is uniform, irrespective of its application. So that is why we normally define in terms of stress.
Okay.
Because we will have one value. For example, if I say copper, you will say, okay, this is a yield strength, one value. This is ultimate strength, one value. Same as mild steel, right? But when you will just, so depending upon the application, let's say if you have made one component and you know the loading condition, then you can tell, okay, this much load it can carry. From where you came to know? You multiplied by the cross-sectional area and all that.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right? So
Yes,
can
sir.
be defined, right?
Yes.
And can you measure stress and strain? You cannot measure stress. You can calculate, right?
Yes, sir.
UTM cannot measure. UTM
Yes.
can measure deformation. UTM can measure your force, how much force
Yes.
you're applying. So initial diagram that is drawn is force deflection diagram.
Yes.
From that diagram, you can get the stress strain, because if you give the feed the basic information of cross-sectional area and that of optional dimension, then obviously you can obtain it.
Yes.
Then I said that which standard? I think you mentioned something about standard. Then I said which standard? You said that, okay, I don't know the dimensions of that.
Yes, sir.
So you said that it is having a standard value. So then I said that which standard? So see, it will depend upon when you are having a specimen that you are taking from the material for which you are carrying out the testing. In that case, it will depend upon the standard that you are choosing. It is not uniform across the standards. It will depend, for example, you are having ASTM standards.
Okay.
You are having EN standard, which belongs to Europe, ASTM mostly in USA. Something maybe Indian also BIS standard. So depending upon that, you will decide what should be the dimension of the specimen, and accordingly you have to generate the results.
Okay, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Then which strength? Okay, then I give you the ask one question. Okay, let us say if you're given a material or a bar which is deformed, then you said that, okay, yield strength increasing. Why? You could not answer why.
Yes,
Why you are plastically deforming and why the yield strength is increasing?
yes.
It's simply strain hardening.
Yes, sir.
Material gets strain hardened. Why did strain harden? Dislocation. So that basic part you should know, that why the strain hardening takes place.
Okay, sir.
It is because of the defects which we call as dislocations.
Yes.
Then you said that the ductility decreases. Initially you were not able to tell, but then later stage you told me, okay, why the ductility will decrease, because you have already deformed it by some amount.
Yes.
Then see, and one more thing, don't say anything which is which you have not studied or which you have not gone through. For example, I said that why the ductility, how you can improve the ductility. You said that you can improve it by annealing, and without thinking you said that quenching also.
Yes, sir.
And about the quenching you are not aware about.
Yes.
So don't say such term, otherwise he may just jump from that to the next one. Okay, you will go to quenching, which you will not be able to answer because you are not prepared for that.
Okay.
So you can avoid those things which you are not prepared with. Annealing, okay, you can stick to annealing, and then you can explain. You explain me well that, okay, that is how the things are, why it is increasing the ductility. Homogeneous isotropic. Okay, finally you could answer it after thinking.
Okay.
You thought about it. It took time, but okay, anyway, finally you were able to do that. And the last two questions which I asked you about was related to this principal stresses and related, that you answered well.
Yes, sir.
So overall it is okay, but the only thing is that just try to think,
Okay.
take some time while the question is framed to you, think about it, and then try to give the answer. Don't give anything kind of any word. Don't use any kind of concept or the word which you may not be aware about. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So over to Vishal sir now.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you. So, Atul, you mentioned heat transfer as your favorite subject, and I asked you some question. I started with radiation. So you need to define in a very effective manner. like the way you defined that was very much average actually, you know.
Okay.
So I asked you about what is the difference between gray body, black body, then a diffuse surface. So you mentioned gray body is body which absorbing all the radiations. Okay, that is actually a very wrong statement, Atul. Gray body is a body which is like for that body, if the hemispherical emissive power is independent of the wavelength. So the spectral emissivity is equal to the emissivity. What you need to say is the gray body emissivity is not equal to black body emissivity. Both are different, but that the value you are going to get a constant value. The emissivity is not going to change with the wavelength. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Suppose you are having a black body, you are having a gray body. So gray body emissivity will be always less than black body emissivity. But whatever their ratio you are having, that is going to remain constant irrespective of the wavelength. Because you know, if wavelength is changing, the absorptivity is going to change. So how you can define gray body? The body which is having constant spectral emissive power. So emissivity is equal to the spectral emissivity. Are you getting this?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir.
So constant spectral emissivity, not emissive power. Emissive power is going to change. So emissivity is going to remain constant. So the pattern, if you will draw the hemispherical emissive power versus emissivity curve, lambda curve. So similar kind of pattern you are going to get for the gray body. The curve which you will get for the black body, similar curve, but lower than that.
Yes, sir.
Are you getting this?
Yes, sir.
ये थोड़ा ऐसी चीजें समझनी चाहिए आपको. Yes, emissivity you can change, Atul. I asked you, like, suppose this is a body, how you can improve its heat transfer. So you need to say, sir, if you will improve its emissivity so that its surface resistance, if we are able to decrease, then obviously the radiation heat exchange will increase. और इसका resistance हम कैसे decrease कर सकते हैं? How we can decrease the surface resistance? By increasing its emissivity. How we can increase its emissivity? By polishing with some kind of material, by roughening this particular surface. अगर इस surface को हम rough कर देंगे, then also we can increase its emissivity. ठीक है? rough black coating करके हम इसकी emissivity बढ़ा सकते हैं. So overall, if you are able to decrease its surface resistance, then it's what you can say, the net radiation heat transfer is going to increase.
Yes.
ठीक है? Radiation network आपने ठीक बनाया. And you need to focus what interviewer is asking you. Like I just asked you the radiation network, so you need to mention about that only. तो उससे deviate नहीं करना है.
Okay, sir.
Grashof number is not equivalent to Nusselt number, Atul.
Okay, sir.
Nusselt number tells us about the ratio of Q convection by Q conduction. Grashof number tells us about the dominancy of the buoyancy force over viscous forces. Okay. The role is different.
Okay.
Both.
Okay.
So Nusselt number can be less than 1 also. In case of like suppose conduction, in conduction, conduction dominates over convection. So Nusselt number can be less than 1 also. But in convection, Nusselt number will always be more than 1.
Okay.
तो उसको strongly आपको बताना चाहिए. Virender sir also mentioned about that कि your energy level was very low, and yes, I also observed that. तो जब तक वो confidence नहीं आएगा ना, तो आपका जो delivery है वो उतना effective नहीं लगेगा. तो you need to have that kind of confidence. ठीक है? बाकी अभी थोड़ा सा वर्क करो यार. आपने कुछ कंसेप्ट तो ठीक है, आपने रेडिएशन नेटवर्क वगैरह बनाया आपने सही, बट उसको थोड़ा सा कॉन्फिडेंटली जो है इंटरव्यूअर के सामने आपको प्लेस करना है. ठीक है? तो
ओके सर.
ओके, गुड लक, कीप प्रिपेयरिंग. व्हेन इज योर इंटरव्यू?
18th सर, 18th नवंबर.
18th को. हाँ, तो अभी है टाइम आपके पास, 7-8 डेज है. सो पुट योर ऑल एफर्ट्स, सिंसियर एफर्ट इन दिस पर्टिकुलर प्रिपरेशन. हाँ,
ओके अतुल.
यस सर.
एंड रिमेंबर द थॉमस नंबर.
यस सर, आई विल स्टडी.
ओके, थैंक यू. Thank you, Vishal sir. Thank you, Siglani sir.